Okay, this is the second video for the pop art project that we're doing. And this is after I showed you how to draw all of your objects on each section. So now I'm going to show you how to color it, okay? As you can see, here are two different examples. One I did kind of just randomly. And then the other one, I actually used color patterns. I used the complementary pairs to kind of figure out what I was going to draw, and I'll break that down for you in just a second. You can use colored pencils, but I chose to use markers for this, and I just picked the 3 primary colors and the 3 secondary colors. If you have other colors or if you want to do other color patterns, you may. 6 went really well for me. And also I have a lot of elements that can be different colors. But I would say you would need at least 4 different colors in each of your sections. So like I said, you can pick color pairs or you can just kind of do them randomly. So with the colored pairs, the complementary colors are blue and orange, red and green, and purple and yellow. So what I did, and I did this one in the time-lapse video, so if you can look back and kind of see the order that I did it in, what I decided to do was go with pairs and do it by that way. Do it in that order, I mean. So first I started off, okay, I want my big items in each object to be pairs. So I chose orange and blue, and then I reversed it and did blue and orange. My markers aren't staying where I want them to stay. So then I reversed it to blue and orange, okay? Then I did the same thing with red and green, okay? And then I chose the complementaries for the lights, right? Or the bulbs. So I did red and green bulbs, or yellow and purple bulbs, yellow and purple. And then I just kind of plugged in the rest. And as you can see, these are complementary pairs as well. So I kind of just did it systematically, but like I said, this one, I picked a background color, and then I started coloring each item a different color, right? And so that actually worked out good because it worked out for 6 of them. And then on the next one, I picked a background color, and then I did the same thing, but I looked back to make sure that, like, I didn't put a red star over here, or I didn't put a blue stem right here, so that kind of thing. So they didn't have, what you want to do is you want to make them all different. You don't want to say all your stars are going to be yellow or all your trees are going to be green. You want to change every aspect of this, okay? So real quickly, what I want to show you is kind of how I colored it. Let's go with this one. And it's always smart when you're using markers to have a scrap piece of paper to kind of go along your edges so you don't get it all over the place. Okay, so markers are a little tricky. Preferably, I do not use them a lot because I'm more into colored pencils and things like that, so I can blend. But with markers, you have one color, right? You have orange, and so the darker you go, or excuse me, the harder you press, it's not necessarily the darker because it's ink. You can't change the ink, so there's no value scales and things like that. So with this, the problem is that when you color, then you go over top of it, it does get darker, but it's not because of the value scale, it's because of the amount of ink that you're putting on your paper. And that can cause streaks, but then that also can cause, if you put it too much, you can make a hole in your paper, that kind of thing. So the way I like to color with my markers is I use the side and then the tip. So with the side, that's for bigger areas, and you kind of want to make like a snake kind of section like this, but you're pushing them together, so you're not really overlapping, okay? And that's usually the neatest that I found how to use markers. Also, you can also do just kind of lines like this, right? But I found that the non-stopping is a little neater. But you kind of always want to go in the same direction, okay? And then also with the tips, especially in the smaller sections here, that's going to be smaller that way. So you can use the snake method, but you just have to be neat. Now, as you can see, I was very slow with my hand, and I did not go like this, okay? Because as you can see, there's streaks, there's sections here where it has darker because of the ink buildup, and this also dries out your marker 10 times faster. So to make good craftsmanship while you're coloring, you need to kind of slowly place it kind of side by side, right? Okay, so let's get away from orange for a second, and let's do the green background. And what I did, as you can see, I don't care if you trace your boxes out with black, or you can just leave them here, leave them plain like this. But whatever you do, I usually line, when I'm coloring it in, I line it first with that color. Okay, and as you can see, I use the edge of my marker, so it gives you that big, nice, fat, bold line. Okay, and remember, I have a piece of paper under here, so when I go off the paper like this, it doesn't matter, right? And especially when you're doing it on the edge, it's nice to have that piece of paper, because you can go along the edge and not have to go back and kind of fill in those spots that you missed. Okay, so I lined it out, and then what I like to do is I like to line it out, the object, and as you can see, it's a tighter spot. So I'm going to use the tip of my marker here. And I'm going really fast for, teaching purposes, but take your time on this, okay? Especially with markers, they're kind of unforgiving when it comes to erasing and things like that. And please, please, please do not try to use whiteout, because when you try to use whiteout with marker, the majority of the time, the marker does not go over top of the whiteout. It kind of beads up. It doesn't, you won't get the same color that you need. So if you mess up with your marker, try to fix it, right? Get creative with, well, number one, is it that big of a deal, right? Did you make that big of a mark that you messed up, right? On a couple of these, like here, if you can see here, my orange kind of went over in my green. Honestly, if I didn't point that out, would you have noticed that, right? And there's a few little pieces in some of my ornaments that I kind of smeared, or this or that. You don't really notice it. There was also here, okay, the blue. I went over the blue line and it was kind of jaggedy, so I just made that line a little thicker, okay? Now that I pointed it out, you can see it, but And it's a little off color. It's not quite black, but it's that muddy mixture between blue and orange. But it's a lot better than the jaggedy piece, and it's a whole lot better if I would have tried to white it out, it would have caught your eye a lot worse than just doing what I did here. Okay, so, you know, get creative with your mistakes. We all make them, okay? No big deal. So, as you can see, I'm kind of just snaking it around, right? And remember, I like to move my paper around as I color to make it easier for me. You can do that, right? And as you can see, there's a blend between using the tip and using the side. Okay. So take your time, use nice craftsmanship. Oops, be nice and neat. Okay, so here's my background. Okay. And it's a little streaky now, but once the ink dries, it lightens up just a tad. But the more you overlap, the less blended it'll look. It'll look more streaky, okay? So here, I'm going to pick, I don't want to pick orange again. Let's pick purple, okay? Let's have a purple tree. And here, there's not really sections that I'm going to use the side of my marker. I'm going to use the tips of my marker, okay? Because the sections are so small. And I'm taking my time, and as you can see, I kind of go section by section, right? I'm going up to, I'm going right up to this object, which is okay, actually, here's a good example. I messed up and I went outside the line, okay? Where it's a darker color, I can see it more. So what I'm gonna do to fix it is I'm going to kind of make this line like that and just kind of cover it up, okay? So voila, I don't have to freak out, I can just move on. Okay, so I'm gonna go around every circle and then color it in. And that just helps me stay nice and neat and not mess up my lights and bulbs. Okay, and again, you can pick out any object that you like. Pick out a kind of a simplified version, a clip art version of it. But you do need at least 3 sections of color, right? So I couldn't just do a green tree. I needed to make a star, and I needed to make the bulbs and the stem so I could color them different colors, okay? And if you have any questions about that, or if you pick something and you're wondering if this works, you know, just shoot me a message. But you can pick anything that you'd like. And remember, it's not necessarily a Christmas project. I just decided to do a Christmas object for this project because it is Christmas time. So as you can see, I'm taking my time, nice and neat. Okay, and actually in this section here, I have changed a little bit to the side of my marker until I get up to these little sections and I go back to the tip, okay? So that's just kind of a little tricks of the trade that you learn what comes easier when you use markers so much. All right, almost done. notice how it's drying a little bit so it's not as streaky in the background. Okay, almost done. And voila. Okay, and so next, you guys understand, you know, what to do next is you're going to take different colors, okay, and actually with these sections you would probably all use the tip of your markers because they are so small. So anyway, this is the project. I think it's a lot of fun, and it turns out to be nice and colorful. You can pick out whatever colors you want, whatever object you want, but you need to remember you need to have at least 4 on your page. They need to look exactly alike or as close as you can, okay? And they need to have at least 3 different colors in each of your objects, right? So you have different things to color different colors, okay? And remember, you can kind of systematically color it, or you can just randomly color it, whatever you would like, okay? And that is our project. Thanks, guys.